Hello everybody, it's Kim. I was requested to show how to do a couple of very simple beginner mandalas, and today I'm going to do this one for you. I did it on a rock that I found at the beach, and I think it turned out really cute. It's not as complicated as you might think it is. It's actually quite easy, but it really can be dramatic. Now, I only used 3 colors on this plus a clear coat. That's why it's shiny. But I like these flat rocks. Now, I could paint the entire back if I want. I kind of like letting people know that it's on a rock. It could be turned into a magnet. I could easily put a way to hang this as a necklace on there. Or, an ornament, something like that. But I'm going to show you how I did this. And once you learn this pattern, you can make this so much bigger and it looks very dramatic. Let me show you really quick. I just finished this one. It's still a little bit wet. That's the same pattern that I used right here. I just kept going with it. So, you can see I'm not perfect. I got a couple little spots I'm going to touch up later. My yellow was a little bit runny, but there you go. So you can take something this simple and turn it into something that looks very complicated, although it's not complicated at all. You just take this pattern and you keep repeating it. So let me show you how we're going to do that today. Now I'm going to show you a couple of things really quick first, because I like to work on the squares. I found a package of these at the dollar store. They are 4.5 inches square and there's 6 to a pack. So for $1, I have a lot of these I can play with to make different types of designs. And the first thing I do with any pattern, and my rooster is close by, is I want to divide it into portions. Can you see how I have that marked very lightly? I'm hoping you can see that okay. What I did was I have in my quilting supplies, I have a chalk marker. It's for sewing or quilting, but you can find pencils. You want a chalk pencil, whether it be white or gray. Like if I was on a white background, I'd want a gray. Don't know if I'd go with black because that's going to be difficult to erase later. And I simply took a ruler and I marked it with my pencil from corner to corner. I spun it around, corner to corner, and then I measured 2.25 inches and put a tiny mark, 2.25 inches, 2.25 inches, and then I just went straight across. So I have a simple 8-pointed, I can make 8 points to it, okay? So I think the square is the easy one to mark, but if you only have a circle, that is super easy too. I'll show you that real quick. I'm going to put this a darker color under here. This is just a canvas I bought at the dollar store. They were 3-pack for $1 or 2-pack for $1. No, I got these at Walmart. I apologize. They were a 3-pack for around $2, and this is an 8x10. I'm going to do something on this later. But let's say I wanted to paint on something round, and that's not quite as easy to find so that you get your marks laid out just right. Very simple to do. Basically, now if I want something this size, I'm going to find something close in size, something like this. I'm just going to take it. Of course, I'm going to trace around it like so. Okay, so now I have paper. Well, what good is that going to do? Let me show you real quick. I'm going to take that paper, and this is just a piece of junk mail. Fold my paper in half. Okay, fold it again. Now I can mark quarters, but remember I wanted this particular one in 8ths. When you get past 8ths, when you want to start doing 6ths or 12ths, it's going to be a little bit more complicated. But to start with an 8-pointed figure, it's really simple. And this is only for the larger items. You don't have to do this with something as little as that rock I'm doing. Okay, take that. I'm going to take a tiny nip out of there. I'm going to take a cut here and a cut here. Now when I open that up, I have marks that I can use on my round object. I would put a mark in the center. You're not going to be able to see this in pencil, but a mark in the center, and I would mark each point across here. I would mark each one all the way around, and then it's just a matter of connecting your dots all the way across. You can simply fold it in half if you want and line it up with your mark. So you go through the center and draw a line, rotate it, lining up marks, and so forth. And now you have a circle that's marked in 8 pieces. So if you have a circle, don't worry about it. You could put a circle on a round object if you want. It's okay. However it works good for you, that's all you need to do. Okay, so once again, we're going to make this. I'm going to put that right here for you. Okay, and I'm going to use, let me put that on white so you'll be able to see, because this is another piece of that canvas. I just left it in the plastic. It was easier. And I'm going to use a rock. Okay, I painted it black. I picked this up at Walmart it was under $1. I believe it's around $1, $1.50 at most. This is a matte black, only because I'm going to put a gloss on top of it. If you don't want to put gloss on top of it, which will protect it better, you can find ones that are glossy. You need to use the acrylic, okay? See, the acrylic paint or enamel or all-surface paint or multi-surface paint. You have to use something like that, not tempera paint, not poster paint, not watercolors. It has to be the acrylic paint, okay? So the colors I used for this is simple. I have black to paint the rock, and I have white, and then I have this really cute, it's called Caribbean Blue. You can use any colors you want. The nice thing is, if I only had 3 colors, I had a black, a white, and say red, I could take that red and keep adding white to it and make like an ombre effect. So you don't have to be going out and buying 13 different colors right off the bat. These little guys are 50 cents at Walmart. So if you have $2, you can get started on this. Okay, so let me show you the tools I'm going to use today. Okay, once again, I have a couple of tools. These I bought at the dollar store. This was a pack of wooden dowels in the craft section at Walmart. There was 15 of them for $1, so you can, use different colors if you want. I just wipe off the end and keep using it. And this was also at the dollar. It has 2 little balls on it. I don't know if you can see those, the bigger side and a little bit smaller side. There's just a little tiny round ball on the end of that. That's what I need to do this rock. If you don't even want to spend money on it, you can look for things at home. You could use a Q-tip. Q-tip would work just fine. Take the Q-tip, you put paint on it, and you rub it into it. Make sure that none of those little fuzzies are sticking out, and let it dry. The other end, you're going to take the cotton off. I had to take a little piece of cotton and stick it in the end because this one was hollow. So you can see there's a little piece of cotton in the end there. And then I did the same thing. I took some paint and I pushed it in the end, and I spun this around so there's no cotton sticking out, so I can have that as one of my tools. And we're going to do 2 rocks. I'll show you both sets of tools. The other thing is a toothpick. Works just as well. That makes these little tiny dots. So I have 2 sets of tools, and we're going to use 2 colors of paint plus my base coat. Okay, so I just took my 2 colors and I put them in. This was $1 as well. I think I got this at Walmart, actually 98 cents plus tax. And I took just a little bit of the white and I mixed it with the blue to make it just a tiny bit lighter. So I just took my tool and I swirled it in there like that, and I mixed up just a little bit of white. I just wanted it just a tad lighter than, I'm kind of going for like snowflake or Christmas colors, soft, light blues. You could do this, I could even make it lighter. A pretty lavender would be nice. And I do need to go find me a paper towel. I forgot I used my other one up. So let me grab one so I can be right back. All right, I apologize for that. I was painting that other mandala with the rainbow, and I forgot I had wiped my stuff a lot. So I have a damp paper towel, and I picked up another Q-tip, because if you get a spot that doesn't quite go where you want it, you can wipe it off rather quickly. Takes most of the paint off. If it doesn't come off completely, I take just a tiny dot of black, put it on there, let it dry for a few seconds, and I'm done. So I'm going to move this out of the way, off to the side. You might not be able to see it, so if you see me reaching to the side, I'm dipping into those colors. So let's start with my little wooden dowel here, and we're going to do this one right here. I go into my paint, and my center is blue. I'm going to load it up pretty good. I want to get a pretty good amount. When you see it, you should have a peak. Obviously, it's going to run if I do it this way. A peak of blue. You want it rounded with your color a little bit on that end. You don't want to take and gob it up. You just want to make sure there's a decent amount of blue. Find the approximate center, and you're going to set it down, straight down, and bring it straight up. That's it. That's my center. Okay? Now, that's with the dowel rod. If all I had was my Q-tip that I've prepared already, same thing. I'm loading it up pretty good. This is not going to be quite as flat because it is a little bit rounded, although I tried not to get it rounded. I'm going to find the approximate center, the dot down. If I want it a little bit bigger, I'm going to load it up again. I'm going to dot it a couple of times, trying to maintain a circle. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit smaller than the dowel rod. If you wanted it larger than that, you can use a pencil eraser. So same thing, an unused pencil eraser. I can go right over that dot, straight up, and now I have a little bit larger center. So a Q-tip, a pencil eraser, a toothpick, you've got the tools that you need. Okay, the next step I did was I took those white dots. I'm going to move this one to the side for just a minute because I need to get my hand in here. And you have to think about going across. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to get as close to that paint as I can without touching it and put a dot. Now I want to go directly across from that and do the same thing. Now I want to go to the side here, but for me, I have to rotate it so that I can look directly across. If it makes it easier, spin it around, go directly across, put another dot down. Okay? Now the next bit, it's quite simple. I'm going in between these dots as close to center as I can. Doesn't matter if it's perfect. Rotate them around. It's easier for me to do it this way. And there's your first set of dots. All right, now that's with that ball tool. Let's see how our our Q-tip is going to work. Take a dot, put a pretty good amount on that end, because again, it's going to be a little bit smaller. Could be larger, could be smaller. I'm going to put my dot. If I need to, I see a little better if I can go directly across. Do my side roughly. and then put one in the center. You can adjust the size of your dots a little bit by how far down you push, but I like to go down and touch and then wipe them off as soon as you use them. You can still wipe these off as well. I forgot to show you. I wiped the blue off. It still looks like it's on there, but that's because it's colored it. Now, you have your first row. Those dots are slightly bigger. Does it matter? No. The next step I did was, you can see one tiny little blue dot. I took just put one tiny blue dot in between each of the other dots I made. Probably not necessary, but I liked that little bit of color. I'm going to spin my rock around here a little bit so I can see better. Hope I'm in frame for you. And there, okay? Once again, tools from home. If they're not going to be identical, it's okay. The worst that can happen is if you mess up, you can let it dry, sand down, because they're going to be a little bit taller than the surface. Sand it down, repaint it black, or go find yourself something else to paint, like a new rock. For me, that was the fun part. I got to go to the beach to do that. All right, so we have our first bit done. Now, as you can see, above each dot, I had a blue dot right here. I'm basically just going above where I was. This is why this one's so easy. I just put that blue in there for a little extra color. So I'm going to take my ball tool on the large end. I'm going to go directly above that dot as close as I can without touching it. Do the same thing here. Okay. If you want to go, I find it easier to do the four corners. It's just the way I prefer to do it. That one got a little far away from my thing, but that's okay. Now I can do the ones in between. Now, I think I used a different tool for this. But does it matter? No. Add a little bit more paint. Make my dots bigger. So I can go back and make my dots bigger by adding a little bit more paint to them. So my dots were a little bit small. It's because I want that color to show a little better. I load my tool up a little bit heavier. There. Okay. Set that aside. Now, you have your choice what you want to do. If you don't want your dots that big, you could find a smaller tool, something laying around your house, whether it be, let's see, a sharpened pencil will work if it's sharpened properly. Not sure if this will work because it is. We'll try it out right here. Okay, it's a little small. It's the end of a pencil. Or you can go right back to your Q-tip and just, let me move this one out of the way. I'm always afraid I'm going to get my hands in them. Don't load it up quite as much. Remember, I'm going to go across, dot it lightly. I just put a little, bit less paint on it. I'm sorry, my brother's coming down the stairs. I can hear him talking. All right, so put a blue dot over top of each of the white ones. So these go pretty quick. The next step, it looks complicated. It's not. Once again, I have my ball tool. This is the fun one. I love doing this part. I'm going to load my ball up. I'm swirling it pretty good. I want a pretty good amount of paint on that first one. I'm just going to dot it above it, and then I'm going to go dot. Oh, that's too big. That's too big. I forgot what I did there. All right, this is where your wet Q-tip comes in. Going to wipe off as much of that. You take it and roll it on there. And it's okay to make a mistake, see? I'm going to try to get as much of that off as I can. I probably won't get it all, and that's okay. Like I said, I could take my black. I'm trying not to get into that other paint. Doesn't work. So I take my black. I'm going to take a toothpick. Get it in there, and I'm just going to cover up my mistake just a tiny bit. It's going to look like it doesn't cover at first because it's going to be shiny until it dries. It takes only a few minutes to dry. It's not even that long, not even minutes. You can hit it with blow dryer if you want to move on real quick. But mistakes happen. That's okay. So we'll go 2 across, and I'll show you, and that way I can let that dry for a minute. Remember, I'm going to load up my ball tool pretty good and put a dot above it. Then what I did was I took the opposite end and I loaded that up pretty good. It's a small end, and I went dot, dot, dot. So each time you dot it, a little bit of that paint comes off. And you don't have to clean it each time unless you're afraid it's going to drip. Dot. Reload the other end. Dot, dot, dot. Following the curve of your circle. This is a little loaded here. My white seems to be a little thin. If your paint's just a tad thin, you can let it air dry for just a little bit. 3 little dots. Load up my tool. I'm not going to soak the whole end too much. Put a little paint on the opposite end. 1, 2, 3. Following the curvature. Now that one's not quite dry yet, so I'm going to skip that just for a hair. Opposite end. Follow your circle. Opposite end. Follow it around. And I think it's dry enough. I should be able to complete my little snowflake. There you go. One done. That's using the ball tool. Now the Q-tip, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So I have a Q-tip and my toothpick, and I'm going to switch back and forth with those. So Q-tip, toothpick. Dots are going to be a little bit smaller, and that's okay. They both look cute, I think. My dots are not perfect. I could probably do, don't want to keep setting it down, I could go 1, 2, 3. I'm loading it each time, putting new paint on it each time, and then dot, dot, dot. Load it again. Dot, dot, dot. All right, that's it. So you can see you can make that using store-bought tools or things you find around the house. This one actually came out a little bit neater than that one. But either way, you know, I'm my most critical person. I'm seeing this a few inches from my face. I see everything I do wrong. I guarantee you not everybody's going to see it the same way you do. Now the fun thing is, remember, if you want to make something like this, you do the same thing. You just do one color at a time. Let me grab a clean toothpick. I did the center and I did the white dots. I put a little pink one around it, just like I did that center. Then, since I was doing it, this is my first try, I did a red dot on top of each white dot because I have my lines drawn. See how I'm following my lines? That's why the lines, you can even see there's a little piece of that line right there. Then I did the white dots around that, did a large orange dot, then followed that down, did a line. I did each color one at a time. So I did all the red dots, I did the white dots, swirled around, did the white dots, I kept doing that. Then I did the orange row, dot, followed it down, dot, followed it down, dot, followed it down. Then I did the white ones again, dot, follow it down, turn, dot, follow it down. And eventually I got to the blue and I just followed it, and then I ended with the white. And since I was unable to put purple in here, should have kept the pink out and maybe started with the red. Either way, I didn't want to put purple out here or here and then have it uneven. So I just added my purple. I know I don't have indigo either. I could have added a couple indigo dots or something here. But anyway, that's the closest I came for the size. This was a 4.5 inch square. A 6-inch square would have fit perfect. But once it's done, I'm just going to paint it lightly with this polyacrylic. You don't have to have this. You can use a clear spray, or you can go to the dollar store and get some clear nail polish. Works great, especially on rocks. It works really good on rocks. So there you go. 3 ways to make that little snowflake. I'm calling it a snowflake. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you try the project. I'd love to see it. You can send it to me. I'll put a link to my email below, and you can send me a picture. I'd love to see it. And if you're interested in learning how to do some more, here's another one I did using just 2 colors again. I can show you how to do something like that. It's a little more complicated. It looks extremely complicated, but it's not. It's actually a very simple one again. I'd be happy to show you. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this project and have a wonderful day. Tell me how many of you saw it. I almost forgot to put dots right there. I thought it looked kind of odd when I was looking at it, and I was getting ready to edit this video, and I realized I had forgot those dots. So don't worry if you're yelling at the camera. I got them in there. Thanks, everybody. Bye.